Hey everybody, welcome to Southern Renaissance. I am Tony Purdue and I am proud here to have my first cousin, Charlanne McCarthy. She is awesome singer-songwriter and multi-talented in so many ways. And we only found out about each other within the past few years, thanks to 23andMe, which uprooted a lot of stuff we just didn't know about. But it's been an interesting journey. But yeah, thanks so much for doing it, Charlanne.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're awesome, and it's been crazy. I just getting to know you and your sisters Hannah and Morla, and then Steve, your brother Steven. And it's been awesome because I always thought, well, I must be an alien or something because I'm not like anybody. But I met you guys, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a McCarthy, obviously, because, we have that, whatever it is we got something, secret sauce or whatever that is.
Yeah.
But,
and the feeling doesn't go away.
Yeah. It just lingers on.
You're weird.
Yeah. You just go with it. We're all awkward and I love it.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, let me see, like that right there is a good example of awkwardness. Well, tell me about where you're from and how you kind of came to be.
So I was born in New Rochelle, and then we moved which is my mom's hometown. And then we moved to my dad's hometown, Aberdeen, North Carolina, when I was like 1 or 2. And then we moved to Woodbridge, Virginia when I was about 3. And we lived there for up until I was 18. I lived there, spent my childhood there. And then I moved to Richmond, Virginia when I was about 19. So then I spent like long time there. And then I moved back to Woodbridge for about 5 years. And then now I'm settling back into Richmond again.
Okay, cool.
So kind of all over Virginia.
All over the place. Yeah. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I've only known you guys for a few years, so I'm still getting to know about you. So I'm probably going to be finding out about a lot about you on this podcast / video show, whatever this is. And, man, I just really appreciate you doing it. I think it's awesome. And I'm so glad to know you. And you're very talented. I heard your music. I heard Hannah's music. And Morla has a band with her husband, Daniel, the Snuggaloos, which is great too. Like all you guys are great songwriters. And that's like, I'm just thankful that it was really good. And I was like, oh, thank God it's really good. I don't have to be like, yeah, that's great. But I really do like it. And I know it seems like, I was actually, I was chatting with Steven the other day. I was texting back and forth with him, your brother. And he was saying that he remembers just showing you some chords on the guitar or something. And then you were just like off to the races, like writing music and doing all kinds of stuff. So
yeah. And he taught me about like ultimateguitar.com, and I like learned songs. Cool. The first song that I learned how to play on guitar was Joey by Concrete Blonde.
Okay,
and
that's a good one.
At the time I was like a teenager, and it's like she sings really deeply, so it was kind of like
So you're saying like I do. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then but Steven also my brother taught me drums too, and I would like play on his drums a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think he taught me ukulele too a little bit, and banjo.
Cool. I didn't.
Anna, my older sister, she was an influence for songwriting because she got into songwriting. She wrote songs, and I was like, that is so cool that she can write songs. I want to do that too.
Yeah. Well, you do it. You're awesome.
Hannah sparked it. And Hannah, being the older sister, I think during our childhood, she was like such a big influence. She always taught me the coolest games, like Miss Mary Mac, and like the string, the string game.
Where, I don't know that one.
You have a piece of string, and then people like play with their fingers with a string. It sounds like some old school grandma and grandpa thing. We're getting old. That was like, we used to
like
play with the string for fun.
Makes me think of those divining rods and stuff. Like we were out on the porch whittling. I think I know what you're talking about, though. You take the strings and make shapes with it. Is that it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I think I've seen that, but I didn't know what it was called.
String for fun.
Hey, whatever works. I'm like a cat. You know, if there's a box, I'll just roll around in it. I'm easy to play.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, you know, what are some? I know the Hannah and obviously Stephen and some of your siblings were influences on you. What are your can't talk? What are some of your other influences as far as like growing up with your music?
I liked Bjork a lot. Like when I was like 13, I started like being like, I think I want to buy like CDs of like different artists. Yeah. And I listened to a lot of Bjork and but the first album that I bought was Aaliyah's self-titled album.
Okay.
That was like actually a huge influence to me. Like
really
that like R&B sound, like late 90s R&B was like a huge influence on me, and TLC's albums and Destiny's Child, all those girl groups. I liked Britney, and I like the Spice Girls a lot, I liked Britney a lot, Britney Spears, but I didn't like buy their CDs, and I don't know why. I think it's because my friends had their CDs, so I'd listen to it with them. Yeah. And then I listened to like when I was like a teen, I was like, I think I like alternative music, like I like Interpol and the White Stripes, and I don't know. What else did I like? Radiohead. I liked Radiohead. I liked, stuff like that. And then like my brother had like this, a bunch of CDs too. And that was kind of influence on me. Like his taste in music, Queen, and he liked Nirvana.
Oh, I love Queen. Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then we discovered Napster. And that changed. And then I discovered like music like Modest Mouse. I was like, oh, Modest Mouse is so cool. And then Animal Collective came out, and it was like, wow, like that was the first show I went to was Animal Collective. Okay. With my brother. But actually I think I saw Muse with like youth group before them, but like the first show that I like wanted to buy a ticket for was Animal Collective with my brother. Cool. Yeah, so those are some of my early influences. That's and I also awesome. Like voice lessons. Took voice lessons and was like into musical theater, and like I sang some like opera pieces. I wanted to kind of be an opera. But
I could see that. You have such an incredible range. I can't believe your range in some of those songs I heard. And your mom is a singer too, right?
Oh, she's such a classical. Yeah, she's like a classical kind of singer. But she does do like musical songs and like show tunes, jazz songs, jazz standards. Just like I like those songs too, and I still do. But like something about like the classical music world with singing is like there's so many ways to sing that I just felt like eventually like that's just not how I want to sing.
I got you. Yeah.
Because that would be like your job if you're like an opera singer, and that would just be day in and day out singing that way.
I appreciate the intensity and the range, but I know what you mean. You're so creative that it would be like putting you in a box, like, here is the sheet music. Do it exactly. I sing with a big band one time, and like they were giving me a side eye because I was like dragging the notes too long. It didn't fall. I'm like, I can't read.
No, I think also I realized like how hard, like in high school, I was like in a like creative singing program where like it was like you had to have all this repertoire of like classical pieces, jazz pieces, like you had to like take it seriously. And I realized like how hard that world and competitive, and like just how hard that kind of singing is.
Oh yeah.
And it just kind of felt rigid and like a path that I didn't want to take at the time.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your music is awesome, and like I talked with you before, it just your album, the first album I heard of your music, and I listened to all you guys' music, or all you gals' music when I first heard about you, because Steven was like, yeah, they're all singer songwriters and they've got their music, and I listened to each one. I was like, oh, this is awesome, and I don't just say that about. It's really good, and I was just blown away how good it was. But your album Cave of Letters, and I listened to that and I was just like, wow, it just gave me Kate Bush type vibes and just other things. It's like a dark but pretty kind of sound, which I love. It's just very well done. And your vocal range, like I was saying, because you'll be kind of low in some, but then you're up there way up high, but you're hitting the notes. It's not like you're like, oh, you actually, like, it works. And that's not easy to do.
Yeah, I loved recording that album with Daniel, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband. Like, we did that before the pandemic, and like a lot of those songs were like 10 years old, and it was just really cool, like, recording again, because after my band broke up, well, I left the band. They still kept playing music, but that's a different story. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that Fat Spirit? Is that band you're talking? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just a band I was in when I first moved to Richmond, and there were different lineup changes. But that was like a lot of fun, just like being able to play music with people, and I really had a good time. We're on Bandcamp, like Fat Spirit.
Cool.
Our album, Super King, is kind of the album which I feel like kind of like really proud of, because I feel like there's just like so many good songs on it. So
I can't believe I haven't listened to it yet. So I had no idea about that band until today. So I'm going to have to check it out later on.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the album Cave of Letters, I hadn't recorded an album since Super King came out, which was like 2013. And then Cave of Letters was like maybe like 2019 or 2020. I think I released it 20. So that was quite a while. But I've been writing songs ever since. I just haven't recorded it. And now my new project, Butterfly Enclosure. I released an album last year around Halloween time. And because now I have like a means to record by myself, and it's been really empowering.
Oh yeah, just, I know what you mean.
Like lay my own tracks and like have that creative control. And definitely,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that was very dramatic. Well, it's and it's cool that Daniel did a great job on the production of the album, The Cave of Letters. But I know exactly what you mean, like just having that access, like you get an idea and it's like, okay, I'm immediately going to make this track. It like recording becomes part of the songwriting process, and it's a great tool.
Yeah, and it's like so nice to just be like immediately inspired, or like be inspired and immediately be able to like record your ideas. I record like memos on my phone all the time of like melody ideas.
Oh yeah, I do that.
Yeah, like I can't forget it.
Yeah, exactly, because it'll immediately be gone and I'll never forget. I never remember it again.
It's even bleeding into my dreams. I had this dream recently that I was recording a voice memo of this dream song.
You had a dream about you recording about a dream into your, is that Inception?
I was recording a voice memo in the dream. Do you want?
That's
it's
funny.
So absurd.
I love it. I love it because I can tell like the McCarthys, that's another thing. I love embracing the absurd, and I can tell all you guys do too.
Yeah.
Yep, it's fun, but well, I tell me more about this Butterfly Closure project. Is it I know it's more like just you now, or just recording your stuff, but I know you had started experimenting with doing beats and stuff also.
Yeah, I'm definitely working on like more electronic music just because like MIDI is so much more accessible right now for me than like buying a bunch of mics and trying to record guitars, drums,
Oh yeah,
any of that. Like,
I know
and I
what you
can
mean.
play drums okay, but I'm not that great at drums. And to be honest, I'm not that great at like guitar or like keyboards. I'm just like a songwriter. I just like
Yeah,
utilize writing songs. I'm not an amazing performer, but I love singing and I love songwriting. Like those are
yeah.
my
Well,
I
I
like
can.
dancing,
Yeah, dancing.
performing, like, and I have a vision of like one day being able to perform these songs like with the recordings and kind of like dancing to them.
Yeah, yeah. Why not? I mean, it's
Yeah.
cool. It's just I can tell. I know exactly that mindset. It's like I love all kinds of instruments, but it's just a tool to me, and it's kind of like I like it, but I'm not like a master of anything. It's just like it's a tool for me to get that vision out there. And I
Yeah.
totally get
But
that line of
at the
thinking.
time, I definitely like have sentimental value of my instruments. Like there's
Oh
like
yeah.
they're cool, but they're definitely like there's a deep bond in relationship to,
Oh
with
yeah. I can see
objects.
that
Like yeah. Like
because it's something
like
you've created with.
yeah, it's really nice those kind of relationships with instruments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But Butterfly Closure, I came up with that name. Well, I didn't invent that phrase. It's like a
Okay.
band-aid, but like I started like using that name when I was like experimenting with noise and I played like a few noise shows under that name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so but then like I realized it's such a good name. I like it so much. I'm gonna use it for like music, like my songs to release my songs.
Yeah.
I like butterflies. I like the term, I don't know, terms together. They sound kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. It's kind of, they don't really go together normally. So it's like interesting word. Cause then it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, the butterfly can be closed or I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
riffing here.
expanding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's a band-aid for your soothing of the soul. I don't know. Going for
Yeah,
that.
expanding for my soul.
That's right. Well, it's so cool just to know that you're here, like you and all the rest of the family that I've learned about the last few years. It's really been just a revelation for me. I mean, you've been writing songs. Like, how long have you been writing songs? Like, since you were really young, right?
Yeah, like I found the like notebook when I was like maybe like 9 um of like lyrics that I wrote, and I definitely remember singing like made up songs as a kid. And my mom like listened to a lot of classical music in the car when she was driving, and I think that kind of like I almost remember being like 3 or 4 and like singing along to it, like being able to follow along and sing to it. And I'd even like be kind of pissed off when I'd want to go in a direction with the song, and then like the song went in a different direction.
Oh, you're like, I'm writing this. Why are you going in that? That's funny. That sounds about right. Yeah. Wow. That is wild. It's so cool
I'm
that
such
it's,
a
what was that last part?
I was a prima donna.
Oh, you're a prima donna. See, that must be like, I've never been like that myself, but I don't know what you're talking. But yeah, well, do you have, I know we were just talking about Butterfly Closure. You have certain workflow with that. I mean, what do you kind of, I mean, it's like I was talking to somebody else, I think Tony Duncan the other day, about different style workflows. Like like doing because he does electronic music versus like playing with a full band where it's like you're sort of bouncing off each other versus like sort of making each piece by piece in a, you know, in a computer or whatever. They're both great tools, but do you have a preference, or are there certain things that you like about one or the other?
Computers aren't like your friend, you know, it's not your friend. So it's like no feelings get hurt except my own when I can't figure something out. So it's just like,
that's true.
I prefer working on my computer just because it's like no drama, but I like love playing with others. Like I miss out on so much like when I don't get to play with others.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like there is something like I like singing with other people, I think the most. I was in choir.
Yeah.
Really like just like I crave like just singing with people because it's like the first instrument, and I just feel like there's no drama when people sing usually. Well, that's not true. There's a lot of choir drama. but I like have this like vision too of like starting an improv choir where people get to sing together.
Improv
I know
choir.
I prefer computers, but I know that makes me sound like cold and heartless, but I think it's like
when I met you, I was like, man, she is so cold and heartless. We're going to get along great. She's definitely related to, no, I'm just kidding.
I prefer the computers, the robots.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to incorporate AI as much into my life as possible. The more humans I can get out of my life, the better. Just want to go, like, I want to turn into a machine. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, though. Well, it's, you know, a computer is not going to go like, that snare sounds like trash. You know, it's like, you can just adjust it.
Humans, I mean, like I need my friends, not just humans, but like my friends to I need like create like feedback, you know, on like,
yeah,
like I'm not a perfect musician like with recording things. I'm not a producer really, so I kind of am, but like I'm just getting started, so it's like I need that kind of like other ears on things sometimes.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I've been doing it like 32 years producing this stuff, but I love to have just a producer that I can trust, that like, you know, they have a good set of ears, and it's like, okay, did that sound okay? Or is this okay?
Yeah.
You know, even though you have an idea about what it is, like having somebody like else to listen to it that has that sense of, you know, what you're looking for. It's cool. And it's like somebody was saying the other day, it's almost like a hidden member of the band because they're sort of influencing the way the recording is going to sound.
The robots, right?
Yeah. And what I mean by that, just the robots. Yeah. Not people. Not people. It's funny. Yeah, it is crazy what you can do with AI nowadays. And it's just like, it seems like one day that just out of nowhere, everything is AI now. It's like,
yeah, but maybe it always was. Maybe that's like the real thing. It's like, it always was AI. Like
it all. Yeah. Maybe we're just now, maybe it's just being revealed to us now.
Yeah.
It's been that way since like the 1950s, but we're just now here. That's probably what it is.
That's what's been going on.
Well, I mean, I know that I feel this way, and I feel like you probably feel this way too, but when you're singing or writing or whatever, do you feel like you're kind of channeling an energy that's kind of beyond you? Because I know I do. It's like it hits me and I'm like, I got to get it out, and I can't. It's like it's going, I'm a conduit. I'm not necessarily even doing it, even though I am. It's
like creator. I feel like it's like what we were talking about, instruments being a tool. I feel like a tool.
Me too.
It's probably a tool of another tool.
Yeah.
It's just like endless creators and endless tools.
Yeah. Yeah, that needs to be a company's like slow, endless creators, endless tools.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
tools. Pro Tools tagline.
Pro Tool. Oh yeah, Pro Tools. That's right. Yeah, I think they got bought out by a bigger corporation, so maybe they'll like name it, rename it that.
Bought out by.
Oh, I can't remember, but I think they were getting bought. I'm going off on a tangent like I did.
Okay.
But I think they're either they got bought out by or they're getting bought out by some larger sort of corporation, I think. But
Wow.
Don't quote me on that.
What's
It's a good thing we're not recording this or anything.
Oh yeah, maybe we should not talk about this.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good. I like to totally talk bad about all video and audio recording companies as much as I can. My goal is to not get any kind of sponsorship. I just want to like put them all in the dirt. None of that is true. Well, let's see here. Well, I mean, we were talking about your influences and your musical influences. You've got an incredible range. So I think if I'm hearing correctly, like you have that pop music influence, like what you were saying, but I almost feel like your sort of the classical music and some of that opera and stuff seeped in there as you were growing up, and it sort of develops your style. Because I hear that when I've listened to your album, I'm like, because you're going way up high and then a little low, and you're all over the place, but it's working. So I can hear that, like it sort of has the pop sensibility, but it's like, you know, it's operatic too. Yeah.
I wish I could sing deeper like than I can because I like male vocals a lot. But I have this like effects pedal that has like a pitch shift on it, so it can go.
Oh yeah.
And then I can like lower my voice on Ableton, the song that I use for recording. So that's been kind of to like go deeper than what I can go, because I can always go higher, I feel like, but I can't go that deep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, that's fun. Just with those pitch shifters and stuff, just to mess with that. Yeah, I've done that before. It's just crazy. It
does sound corny sometimes. I bet AI is gonna one day not make it sound so corny. I think it's already happened where you can like mimic voices and voices and stuff.
It's wild. Yeah, I've heard things where they've taken a model or whatever they call it now of a famous singer's voice and like making them sing another song. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, I've always wanted to sound like Pavarotti, I guess.
That'd be pretty sick. I think I heard a thing the other day. It was an NWA song, but somebody created it where it sounded like Hank Williams Sr. singing an NWA song. And I was like, it was just weird. The future is now. I don't know if I like it. Well, cool. Well,
I don't know if very much either. Like,
I mean, it's interesting if I was watching a movie and it was like science fiction, but it's like, at the same time, it's like we're creative people, and it's like taking away part of the human element of creativity slowly.
It is like a sci-fi, like life is really like a sci-fi science fiction novel all of a sudden.
It is all like
computers were invented.
Yeah, everything's all dystopian and stuff. I mean, come on here with like an eye patch or something. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know why it just seems more dystopian if you're wearing an eye patch. I'm not sure. Maybe you just lost an eye because it's just so hard to live in that post-apocalyptic world. Well, shoot. Well, I guess we can talk about, truth is always stranger than fiction. So sort of our background of how we met. Stephen, your brother, I was on 23andMe, but just because it was interesting and I just wanted to find out more about my heritage or whatever, like most people. And I'd had it on there for a while, forgot about it. And I got a message from somebody and they were like, hey, I think so-and-so is your father. So I was like, what? That's not, no, this is so-and-so. This is Thomas. No, that you're wrong. You don't understand. That's not right. but then we were having a conversation in the message, and that's what I do when I message. I just do this. But yeah, we were having a conversation, and he started connecting the dots together. I was like, oh, because it started making sense. Like, okay, this might be a real thing. And then it was like I saw a picture of Richard McCarthy, and we had looked similar. And then, but then I did confirm with my mother that was true. So then it was like, okay, well, that's real. So, and yeah.
Have you talked about that on your podcast before?
Kinda. It's weird. It's kind of, it's sort of woven in there. I haven't gone into detail about it, but it's weird. It's sort of woven in there. And Cody J, the famous like DJ that's been like, he'd been around for 50 years and the first dark wave show, The Edge. He knew Richard in the 70s. He was like, worked with him, and he talked about him a little bit on the Halloween special. I'm going to have him on this coming thing, which will be after once this airs. But yeah, so it's just fascinating. It's crazy how it's all kind of connected, everything. But yeah.
But I'm happy like to have, and I'm sure you're more happy to have known, than to never know, us.
Oh yeah.
So happy to know you. And
absolutely.
And it's like so interesting how like these choices we make, like your choice to go on 23andMe and my brother's choice to go on 23andMe, like, and then you get to meet us, we get to meet you. It's like meant to be, like fate. And I feel like our grandparents, all like conspired, or our grandparents. Yeah.
Yep. I'm sure they did. You can't trust the Irish.
Yes.
Well, it's crazy, but it took me, I'll be honest with you, it was really hard at first because
I know
it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this might be different. This might be different in your life, but there are certain things that are constant. Like, okay, this is my dad. This is like certain things. Okay. That's just reality. And then your worldview is turned upside down.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
I definitely like know like how hard that was, that must have been like to go through. And my dad actually went through something kind of similar too, where he found out, not like he found out he found out he had another sister. Like it happened again. Like a year.
I remember. Yeah.
He had a sister because my grandpa, had an affair with somebody else. So
yeah,
that was kind of hard for my dad,
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's sort of like
his whole life,
Yeah. You think things are set in stone, but it's not. It's like things are different than what you always know.
Yeah. And have you talked to her? Because I guess she's related.
I think I may have messaged with her. I can't remember, but it's been a little while back. But I'd love to definitely get to know her better because
you can relate to those things, going through those things.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure we could rap about that. Yeah, and be like, well, this is weird, right? Yeah. I can't believe we're related to these people. But, well, I got to say, like your dad, Kevin, Kevin McCarthy, no relation to the guy in the politics, but but yeah, he was a great person. He passed away a while back, but he was, I never got to meet him in person, but he called me and he reached out to me like multiple times. Like he would just call me up and he was so nice and so just like so generous with his time and just like trying to make me feel welcome. And I really appreciated it. That's why I was just like blown away how nice he was to me and just welcoming, because I'm sure he knew how hard of a situation it was for me. But it really made a difference, I think, in dealing with it, the way he was so kind to me and just made it feel like, made me feel like it wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Like really wanted people to feel like welcome, and like he was really like like a family guy, you know, like I don't know, he is like he had a big heart, you know, and sometimes
Oh yeah.
he loved a little too, you know, the classic loving too much, you know,
Oh
like
yeah.
give and you know,
Yeah,
but
definitely. That might be
yeah,
a McCarthy thing. I was kind of
I know,
thinking. Yeah.
for sure the
Like I
curse
put everything
of
into
love.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and that's literally, I think what was it? Oh, I forget. Anyway, I was going to make a point, but now it's gone. So I guess it wasn't important. Yeah, but he was so cool and so nice to me. And I will always remember that and appreciate that. And,
Yeah.
I know he was so charismatic too and a great speaker. It's just so
Yeah.
weird how all that kind of runs in the family too, that
Yeah.
showmanship.
I guess that like ability to do public speaking is a McCarthy trait.
Yeah,
I don't have
I think
that
it is.
too strongly, because I know like you know, my uncle Richard, your dad, he was a DJ too, so he kind of
Yeah.
was. And then I know my Aunt Kate, she loves to talk, so she's like really, she's really good at talking, like telling a story. I think my Nana was good at telling stories. So I think that is a McCarthy thing.
Yeah. Well, it's so supposedly, let's see, make sure I get this correct. I think it's the Blarney Stone or whatever. I think that is located at like some sort of castle that was associated with the McCarthys or something. But that's the one that you supposedly, if you kiss it, it gives you the gift of gab. And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
I wonder if that's like kind of like a thing. I don't know. I've never kissed it,
What the
but
Blarney Stone was, you know, when you're Irish, you just hear these things, and I never
yeah.
really did the
I
Blarney
know.
Stone.
Well, I think it's different for me because it was like such a new thing that I was like, oh, I got to find out that it's like if you're raised with it, you're like, whatever. It's probably like a
Yeah,
different.
what's the
Yeah.
Blarney?
Yeah. That's a bunch of blarney. But I
What
think
was
that's.
that folk tale tale about the angel, or like the
Oh, yeah.
mythical?
Yeah. So in Irish history, I found out there's a thing. It's called the Book of Invasions. And
Oh,
it's sort of like mythology, but it mixes with history. So it gets kind of weird. But I know that it talks about the early people in Ireland, oh gosh, I can't remember I forgot the name of that, but later on, they're sort of like the first humans, I think. But then later on, these things called Fomorians, they're supposed to be
wow.
the giants and they would eat the humans and they were really evil creatures.
Oh my
And they were
God.
there for a while running the island apparently. But then these people this thing called the Tue de Danann, they were sort of like supposed to be like god creatures or almost like aliens or something. They just appeared and they brought this like amazing like new technology, and like they got rid of the Fomorians apparently. So and then there's some other like people of course the Vikings, that's a real thing, and then there's some other in
Yeah.
that book, but like that part is really just kind of weird. But supposedly McCarthy's, from what I understand, are supposed to be partially Fomorian and partially from the Tue de Danann. And I guess like a lot of people from Ireland are supposedly, like have that in them. But the Fomorian is kind of your evil side. And then the Tue de Danann is kind of like, I guess I hope I'm saying that right, is like the good part. So
Yeah.
it's totally cool and
Oh my
interesting, just good
God.
story, even.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Like you hear like you hear like music that we create, or just we're
Yeah.
sort of dark, but we're also like positive at the same time. We're kind of like,
Yeah. Definitely, I
and
can relate to that. Yeah.
then the Tue de Danann, I think eventually, supposedly, they're like the fairy folk now. They're like underground, I guess they're supposed to be
Yeah.
like. So it's interesting. Like, I don't know. I got obsessed with it. Like I do. I'll get obsessed with one thing and like do nothing but that.
Yes. Thank
I
you for
hope
telling me. I feel like I
yeah.
need. book, and like that is so beautiful. Like to like that kind of like Irish folk tales. I should do more research because
It's really fascinating. It just like the book, I think it's the Book of Invasions. That's where like it's one of the few, like, because they tried to get rid of a lot of Celtic history, I guess, but that was
yeah.
remaining thanks to some monks on this island on like the west side of Ireland, like off Ireland. I think they like wrote out a bunch of stuff. And I think
Wow.
for like a lot of other stuff, like even other books, like of course the Bible and like other stuff, but like they saved a lot of books from or
Yeah.
information from disappearing because they like wrote it all down for humanity, even like, more pagan stuff, just because it was information, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Sometimes when I'm songwriting, I feel like the Celtic influence starting to come through.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely, and I've always been like into traditional Irish music and all
Yeah.
kinds of that stuff. I always loved it. And I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I got a French name, but I love this stuff. But
Yeah. I
I
like
like a
that.
lot of different stuff.
It's fun.
Yeah. It's
Fun to
just,
listen to.
yeah, it's just very energetic. And the storytelling, I feel like part of that, is part of the American fabric, because it's like such a rich history of storytelling, and the way they would have like they would gather around and just like have storytelling sessions is like going to the movies or something, because they
Yeah.
didn't have TV or whatever.
Yeah. At the pub, maybe, or
Yeah, or
wherever.
whatever at this so and so's house. I guess. But yeah, I love that history stuff. It's so interesting. But yeah, well, it's fascinating how much all of us have in common, because as I was saying, like the dark kind of humor and stuff, like we're sort of dark, but also positive, and we're kind of jokesters. All of us, I've noticed, like we're all kind of
Oh,
like to joke around.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
definitely
just,
mischievous, like sometimes a little like just a tiny bit mischievous. Like my dad always liked to do pranks and stuff.
yeah,
Was such a prankster.
I could believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to hurt anybody, but I like to just mess with, like I don't want
Yeah.
it to be a problem. I just want to like, hey,
I
what was
used to
that?
people more, but then I realized like I can't I I just had like I wanted to take a break from it because it was like I want to like not be so evil.
You didn't, your evil side to
But
take over.
like
You didn't want
teenager,
that
wait,
Fomorian, like giant side to take over.
yeah, I think when I was a teenager, I was like way sassier and like a
Okay.
little bit more mischievous. And then like I feel like this one time a voice came to me, like not an audible voice, but just this
Hmm.
feeling something was telling me, you need to be nicer to people, Charlanne. And
Yeah.
I
I
really
mean,
listened.
that's a good thing.
I was like, I have not been nice to people.
Hey, well, that's a
Like,
good,
to be honest, but
yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's a good, I mean, I try to, be as cruel as I can to everyone, and just to make everyone suffer. That's my MO. No, just,
Got me to where
no,
I am today.
I'm always trying to like get better. It just be
I know.
more understanding, and,
Yeah.
try to
I mean,
treat people the way I would want to be treated, all that
yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah. You know, when you're a teenager, though, and you're trying to figure out how to be a human.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It's so awkward, and yeah, yeah, it's just a weird time. Your brain is not fully formed, and you're like, I don't know if mine's ever got formed. It's just like rolling around in there. But yeah, it's just juggling. It's like a hamster in there. But yeah, well, tell me more about your mom, Carol. You were
Oh,
saying
yeah.
she's a singer, and does kind of
Yeah.
like more classical stuff, right?
Yeah. She's like a really interesting person. She's had an interesting life. She raised like 4 kids and worked the whole time and loves singing, loves loves God, is a really just like humble person.
Yeah.
Um she was like, it's interesting because she was like into yoga in the 70s,
Okay.
like high school and stuff, and like was a vegetarian or a vegan way
Okay.
back in the 70s,
Man, I'm a
like early
vegetarian.
on.
I'm not vegan though.
Yeah. She was just like really like followed her heart because I mean she comes from a like Jewish family and
Oh
vegan
yeah,
is
that's right.
like so unheard of. But yeah, like she's just really like loves to sing. She'll like go out and find like these different places to sing like with friends and stuff. Like they do
Yeah,
these standard nights where they sing jazz songs or show tunes or just like
that's
songs
cool.
together, like perform one after each other, and it's really
Nice.
nice.
In the
Yeah.
round.
Yeah.
I love old jazz standards like crooner stuff. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just remember being a kid and like my mom can sing also really high. And I just remember being like, whoa, like mom's so loud singing and she's really good at it, you know?
Yeah.
But it was like a
Project.
huge influence to me. Like I definitely sing, I take after my mom's like love of singing. I definitely love singing because of her. And we
I
did
could see
choir
that.
when I moved back to Woodbridge. That was kind of nice, like doing choir together.
Well, one of these days we got to get you and Hannah and Moreland, like all of us together, see if we can all like harmonize or like do like a big vocal, even just for one
Yeah.
track. It would be interesting, I think, just to have
Yeah.
those voices together. I'll sing
Yeah.
all the high parts. You guys do the low parts. I'll just be,
Yeah.
no, I can't do it.
And there's that video of us singing when my dad passed away a year and a half ago.
Yeah, yeah.
After the funeral, we went to one of his friends' houses, and I got to meet you, and thank
Yeah.
you for calling from
Yeah,
was it
that
Alabama at that time.
yeah, that was a very bittersweet day. It was like I never got to meet your dad, you know, Kevin, and I really wish I would have, but I was glad that I was able to make it there just out of respect for him. And then it was so great to meet y'all. I hate under the circumstances. It was terrible, but just to see all of you in person and really, I wish I would have had more time to stick around, but hopefully we'll be able to get together soon and, you know, make some more music. It'd be interesting.
Because I know, like, it'd be nice to, like, be able to play music together again, like, in that video. Like, and then, yeah, because, like, I know my dad would have loved to meet you, you know?
Yeah, he was super cool, supportive of me. Like he bought some of my CDs. He even bought my weird like electronic side project, and he was telling me like he liked that, and I was like, man. And he kind of, speaking of, he's sort of you know, this Richard, who is my biological father, Richard McCarthy. He's kind of an interesting guy. He's kind of like keeps himself. I've never met him in person. I don't know if I ever will. Oddly, I've talked to him on the phone a few times because he was my customer at Sweetwater. So a few times, and it was really bizarre, like because we sort of talk alike too. Yeah. So it was like I was talking to him, I was like, I was having trouble because it was so disorienting, and it felt like a Twilight Zone thing, this whole thing, and but yeah, so. I've heard a little bit of his music, and he's really like sort of makes some interesting music and stuff.
Yeah. So like some of my memories of Richard are like he lived with my Nana for a while. And I remember like one time him showing me his like music studio. And well, it's not like in quotations. I don't know. It was like a little like it was like a home setup, you know. Like,
I got you. Yeah, yeah.
You know, like he did have like a studio set up.
Yeah.
Because I don't mean to be disrespectful. Like it was like kind of like my setup, you know, but like even better because he was like really obsessed with music, and he had like this whiteboard. Or like some sort of board where he wrote like different alternative tunings down.
Really interesting.
Yeah, that really inspired me because I think I was starting to play guitar at that time. And so he had like different tunings that he would tune his guitar to, and he wrote them all down on a board. And
So
he
he
just like,
plays guitar too.
yeah. And I
I knew
know,
he played keyboard, but I didn't know he played guitar.
yeah. And I know for a fact he has thousands of recordings. And he sent
No
us,
one's ever heard him either, right?
my dad, about 10 songs, and they
Yeah.
are very interesting. But I can't wait if we can reach out to him and like have him send, like, I'm just like, I've always wanted to listen to his music, you know?
Well, Cody J, who I interviewed, which is crazy. He was one of my heroes, like, because he was on the radio in the early 90s when I was growing up. And he was the first, like, time I got to hear like alternative music, you know, because I didn't have, back then it was like pre-internet. So I didn't get to hear like anything but what I had laying around the house. So I got to hear The Cure and, you know, different things like that. So I was like, this guy's cool. And then like I ended up, you know, getting to interview him. He's a really cool, interesting guy that lives like a vampire. And he's a cool guy, but he worked with Richard, and he said that he told me some interesting things. He said that he had written a rock opera, but he thinks he has it on like a reel-to-reel somewhere in his basement.
Oh my
So he said he's gonna maybe see if he can find it. Maybe he's got it. So that might be interesting to hear.
That reminds me of like Jim Steinman. Like it would be so interesting to hear like if Uncle Richard, you know, like made like a rock opera that was like at that level of like Meatloaf's songwriter, you know? Like,
He's just like, turns out he just wrote that album and no one gave him the credit.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, he's a very interesting and mysterious person, that's for sure. So
that would be amazing if he agreed to be on your podcast someday.
Yeah, well, Cody, it would be weird. I would feel like I was on the Twilight Zone. Like it kind of freaks me out a little bit, I'll be honest with you. And I bet it does him too.
Yeah.
But just the thought, like, because it's like ruins my reality of like what I understood to be true. So it's like, and we're so much alike in certain ways that it's really weird, but whatever. Yeah. It's life.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about, you know, Hannah and Morla. They're your sisters, also singer-songwriters, and amazing. They're also amazing because they got those good McCarthy genes.
Actually, when you spoke of The Cure, it reminded me of Hannah because she was such a big music-wise too. Because, like I said earlier, she wrote the songs. She wrote songs, so I thought that was like really cool and inspiring. But she also liked a lot of cool 80s bands, and I remember like when I was like maybe 10, she had like this Cure VHS tape, and like had all of their music videos. And the first time I saw the music video for Boys Don't Cry, I was just like, this is the best thing ever. It's like such a good feeling to hear that, you know.
Oh yeah.
And so Hannah's like an amazing songwriter. She's still recording. I think her band's called Hannah and the Fauna now. Yeah.
She told me so you remember how to say her name or whatever. Yeah. It took me I was like, finally I just asked her, I was like, is it Hannah or Hannah? Finally she's like, okay, it's Hannah. Like, thank God. Okay, because I'm going to be embarrassed if I.
Yeah, she'll go by Hannah, but like, or she used to, but I think she wants to be called Hannah, I guess.
Just called by her actual name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame her. I'm sort of the same way, like with Purdue, because there's different spellings of Purdue, and it's like it's Purdue like the chicken, not the college. Yeah. And in Fort Wayne, when I was living there working at Sweetwater, there's like Purdue campuses there, and they spell it like Purdue instead of PER. And I was always like, it's like the chicken, not the college. And of course, with my Southern accent, it made it work. It's like the chicken, not the college. And they're like, what is this guy? What is this guy doing here? But
Morla, my little sister, she's like in the Snuggalos with her husband.
Yeah, it's a great band.
Album right now. I think they're going to release it soon. And yeah, they've put out a few albums throughout the years, and Morla has such a beautiful voice too. Like,
She does. She's really
yeah,
good.
she used to write songs. I would hope one day she gets back into it. Oh, sorry.
Nope, that's all right.
Sorry. I would hope someday gets back into it.
Yeah, she's incredible. Their music I listen to, the Snuggaloos, and it's really good. It kind of almost, some of it almost remind me like Jesus and Mary Chain or something. Just like it had a very like good like groove kind of indie thing. But then some of their other stuff has like electronic stuff going on. It really good. And Daniel is awesome. He's really good, and he's a cool guy. Like just so mellow.
Those Morla, they're both so amazing together too. It's really, really awesome. And they're about to have a baby together. I'm about to him. Yeah, and Steven and
McCarthy's.
They're about to have a baby. So
That's what he told me. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick to being a cat daddy. I was like, this curse ends with me. I'm just kidding. I'll just be a cat daddy. But yeah. It's awesome.
So, yeah. And so with my new project, I'm also like recording an album and about to release an album. And Daniel, like, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, I was like, Daniel, I have like a vision or an idea for an album cover. And I drew like a middle school version of like what I like, because I'm so bad at art or not great at art. So I drew like a middle school rendition of like what I wanted the album to look like. And like within a few hours, he like created this magical album cover. And it's so beautiful. And it's like symbolic of my dad because my dad looked like a buffalo. And then there's the rainbow in the picture and the 4-leaf clover. And there's like a yellow brick road because my dad really liked watching Wizard of Oz with us. So
yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's an interesting movie. It's so creative the way they go to the like black and white to the color. I don't know.
I know.
It was.
Yeah, I love Judy Garland. She's so good in that movie.
Oh yeah, faux show. Yeah, some movies I'm like, it's like I'm so jaded or like maybe it's desensitized. It's hard for me to watch some innocent movies now, but that one's always holds up no matter what.
Yeah,
like, it's always good.
Yeah.
But well, cool. Well, let's see. We talked about that. Well, as far as I know that. Oh gosh, where was I going with that? Well, let me ask you this: how can people find out about your music, like online or anything?
So you can find it at butterflyenclosure.bandcamp.com, I believe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then also I have another album under charlannemccarthy.bandcamp.com.
Okay.
But maybe I'll move that over to Butterfly Closure somehow because sometimes I'd rather not go by my full name, you know.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, but and then fatspirit.bandcamp.com for some of my earlier band related music too.
That's awesome. I'm going to check it out because I haven't got to hear that yet. So I'm interested to hear it. And yeah, I'll listen to anything all of you do because it's all good. And it's, but it's got the dark, but the light, it's a balance.
Yes. It's just like the Irish, early Irish people, right?
Yeah. And like they're just like kind of just a unique kind of people, I guess.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of humans are like that, like part kind of not so good, part good.
Oh yeah. I think that's just the human nature. I think there's gray areas. Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But, well, cool. Was there anything, any other things you got? Like,
no, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, thanks, cousin.
Cousin. Yeah. It's been awesome. And like I say, it's been just good getting to know you better. Just, I mean, this is like taped in a podcast or whatever, but I'm getting to know you better this way. So cool. Well, hey, I really appreciate it. And I guess that's it for our episode of Southern Renaissance. It's been great to have my first cousin, Charlanne McCarthy, on the show. She's an incredible singer songwriter, among other things. And you ought to check out her music because it's killer. Because I have impeccable taste and I like it. So you know it's going to be good. But thank you all so much. And we'll see you next time.